All right, let's play with logic a little bit and look really closely at contentment, happiness, satisfaction, see if we can kind of formalize our thinking about these things a little bit so that we can see what the implications might be for ethics. If everything we do is in some way an effort to increase our contentment, happiness, and satisfaction, and if we want to increase our amount of contentment, happiness, and satisfaction for their own sake and not for their usefulness, then contentment, happiness, and satisfaction have intrinsic value. Okay, so we've established this, that these things are things that we want, and we want them not because we can do something with them. We want them because they are valuable in and of themselves. The value of them inheres in them. All right, now think about this, or consider this. If something has intrinsic value, it's an intrinsic good. You buy that? And there's two ways you can think about good here. If something has intrinsic value, the value inheres in it, it has both sort of a positive aspect to it, it's good, and it's sort of not a commodity, but it's a thing that we can pursue, right? Like goods and services. If something has intrinsic value, it's an intrinsic good. The more intrinsic good that exists, the better. Wouldn't that be the case? If something's good, wouldn't you want as much of that in the universe as possible? Wouldn't you want as much good in the universe, not in the universe, in reality as possible? Can there be too much goodness in reality? Because if not, this would seem to lead to an ethical conclusion. And the ethical conclusion would be this. Therefore, we should take actions that result in the greatest good for the greatest number. In other words, we should confront the decisions we have to make on a daily basis with the goal of increasing the net quantity of contentment, happiness, and satisfaction that exists in reality. Okay? You buy that? Because if you do, you might be a utilitarian. Okay, so utilitarianism is an ethical theory that was developed in the 18th and 19th centuries, first by Jeremy Bentham, kind of got the ball rolling, and then John Stuart Mill really ran with that ball. And they came up with a couple of principles that were the result of the thinking processes that we've been sort of exploring here. They came to the conclusion that the goodness or the rightness or the badness or the wrongness of actions are located in the consequences of an act. Okay, so just like ethical egoism, which says, I don't care about your intentions and there are no inherently moral or immoral actions. The only thing that matters is the situation you're in and the result of your actions. Okay, the consequences matter here. So utilitarianism, just like egoism, is a consequentialist ethical theory. It looks at the consequences of the actions or the potential actions we could take and evaluates the quality of the action based on the consequences it produces. An act that increases happiness or pleasure, or our words would be contentment, happiness, and satisfaction, or minimizes pain and suffering and unhappiness, that's right and good. An act that decreases happiness or causes suffering in the world, that's bad. Okay, so we're looking at actions that increase. If we had like a meter that gauged how much contentment, happiness, and satisfaction existed in the world at any minute, and we could plug in potential actions we're considering taking and watch that meter rise and fall, the actions that cause the meter to rise the highest and indicate the most amount of good that exists at any given time, that would be the morally right action, a utilitarian would say. Whoops. So you can see here, with our little moral framework, you can see what the utilitarian is going to put in this box down here at the bottom. It's going to be the greatest good for the greatest number. That's this platform we stand on, right? So what do we stand for? We stand for this thing that is intrinsically valuable, contentment, happiness, satisfaction. We want there to be as much of it as there can be. So I'm going to make moral claims about what the right and wrong things to do are. And my reasons are going to show you that this action will either produce the greatest good for the greatest number or not. And that's all based on this founding assumption that what matters most is the greatest good for the greatest number.